Hi guys, this is Tam. Welcome back to my channel. Today you're going to see me do an entry in a new glue book that I started, and it's actually a grief glue book. I don't know if many of you on this channel know, but my mom passed away last year and her birthday is coming up, and I feel a certain type of way about it. This is the first birthday that we aren't able to celebrate with her, and so instead of channeling that grief in a negative way, which I think we all have the option to do when we lose someone, I want to channel it in a positive way. And so I started this grief glue book, and that's what I've been working in for the last week or so. Just remembering her, the good things about her, and her talents, and all of those things, and my feelings, just putting them down on paper. And so in this particular glue book, this is a big one. I ordered it from Amazon, I believe, and if any of you are interested, let me know and I'll post a link down below to the exact one that I ordered. But it's a moleskin, I think. I think it's a moleskin, but I covered it, so I really can't see the cover. I took some wrapping paper that I have, and I covered the front of it, and then I put that good grief sticker, which is actually, that's what I was going to entitle it. And then I found these words in an Essence magazine, and I just glued it on the front, and it just says good grief, tears, prayer, and therapy, rethinking how we process the loss of a loved one. And at the bottom, that was a another little quote that I also found in a magazine. It says, loss is an inevitable part of life. How do you deal with it when it happens to you? And so I thought those were befitting this journal. So everything in here, this is actually a themed journal, and I think I talked about that before, that none of my journals are really, glue books are really themed, or journals. Nothing that I work in is really themed. I just do what I do at random. So this is the very first glue book or journal that I've actually done that has a specific theme, and that theme is just me writing about my mom, glue booking, to relieve stress, tension, sadness, and all of those things, just working through it. I feel like grief is a process, and we all deal with it in our own way. And so initially, I had ordered a grief journal from Amazon, and then when I got it, it was just a repetitive type thing. It asked the same questions over and over again. Even though the book was like maybe 100 pages, it just kept asking the same few questions over and over again. So that wasn't really what I was looking for. So I decided to make my own. So that's just something that I would put out there. If ever you feel like what you're looking for isn't out there, you can't find it, just make your own. And so that's what I did in this particular instance. I just made my own grief journal, glue book, whatever you want to call it. So the magazines that I used to do this entry were my normal, Flow, Breathe, Daphne's Diary, and Calm. And so in this glue book, I use all different images. I use magazine images from Essence, images from my Birds in Bloom, um, just whatever. There's no particular magazine that I use, but these are just the ones I used in this particular entry. And so Daphne's Diary is good for finding um, decorative paper that you can use as fillers. And so I just took one of the pages out of my Daphne's Diary magazine, and I'm using that to go down the sides of the page to just fill those white spaces that will be left there. And that's another thing I want to mention. This glue book is, most of it is full page coverage. Like, not many of the pages that I've done so far in here are showing the white parts of the paper. Most of it is full coverage. I do have a couple of pages, as I flip through it right now here as I record this voiceover, I do have a couple of pages in here that you can see the white space on the page, but most of them are full coverage. So I'm just using this Daphne's Diary It's kind of like chevron, blue chevron pattern. I'm just putting that down as I, position my images on the page, and I kind of want it to be fully covered, so that's why I used that design paper down the side, so I won't have that gap there. And this page is really me journaling about my mom's. She was a cook, and people would pay her to cook in restaurants, in stores. They would pay her to cook at her house, and they would come pick it up. So that was one of the many talents that she had, that people were willing to invest in her in that way. And so when I saw this image of this girl behind the counter in what appears to be maybe a bakery, I just thought about, how on many occasions this was my mom's life, her behind the counter in a kitchen cooking for people. And so I'm just going to glue these images down on this page, and hopefully you guys can see. I sped this up, I don't know, 2.5 times, so it's going really fast. Obviously I don't journal this fast. I just, for the sake of time, didn't want it to be an hour-long video, so I just cut it down to just over 20 minutes. And I'm just using regular glue sticks. I started off with my Jot glue stick that I purchased from the Dollar Tree, which I actually need to make a trip back to the dollar store to restock on that glue stick, because that's my last one, and I'm going to have to finish off the entries with a Elmer's disappearing purple glue stick. So you're going to see that later on in the video. And so I'm doing a 2-page entry, so I'm going to do both the left and right pages. So you can get a glimpse of one of the pages I did right before the entries that I'm doing right now. And so it's just a eclectic glue book full of different sorts of images. And so that page that's on the back side of the page that I'm doing right now is filled with some floral images. And so one of the common things in Daphne's Diaries magazines is also recipes. You'll see them all throughout the magazine. And so I'm going to take one of the pages, the same page that I got the decorative pattern that's going down the right side of the page. I took some of the images off of that same page, and I'm going to glue them down as well, just to represent food items, And so I'm going to put those on, and that leaf print that you see right there, I'm going to put that down on there as well, just for decorative purposes. And I didn't want that text to be sticking from under that leaf image, so I just took my whiteout, and I'm just going to, white out that portion that was going to be peeking from under that leaf image. And so I didn't want to see that. I wanted it to be fully covered. So another thing that you can do when you want to make changes like that, you can either cover it with some more paper, just a white piece of paper or whatever, or you can just use your glue stick, or you can use paint, which is also another thing I haven't used in this glue book as of yet. I haven't used any paint, and I'm just checking to make sure. Oh no, that's not correct. I've used some paint pens, but I haven't used like paint, like how in my other glue book you'll see me paint like a whole page and then stick some images on top of it. I haven't done that, but I have used some paint pens just to decorate the sides and make little marks over the page and stuff like that. So, and this is pretty much wrapping up this particular page. On the left, I'm using my Illustrated Faith .65 pen, and I'm just going to write just a little short note on there about my mom. So that is what I'm doing in this. That's what helps me to relieve, the pressure of the grief that I'm feeling, to write something about her, that, is helping me. So that's why it's kind of like a glue book / journal, but you can call these things whatever you want. But for me, in this particular instance, I want to be able to get out a thought that I'm having about her. And so on this little piece of paper that I'm writing on now, I'm just using it as my journaling spot, and I just wrote a little message on there. And for those of us who are of the faith, we believe that we will see our loved ones again, those who are saved through Jesus Christ. And so my mom was a believer. And I know I'll see her again. So I don't talk to her as if she can't hear me. I talk to her as if she still hears me. That's my phone. I am so very sorry. We plugged the phones back up, which we did it because our kids are grounded. They don't have their electronics right now because they aren't doing as well as they should be in school. So we took their phones, and we still want to be able to contact them if we run out to the grocery store or something like that, or if they need to contact us. So we hooked our home phone back up. When I say hooked up, we literally unplugged the phone because of reasons like this. The phone just rings all the time, and it's usually people that are trying to sell you stuff. We get calls from people from the wrong number. It's just, I hate the home phone. I hate it. And so I was not mad at all when my husband unplugged it. And that's been for months, y'all. We unplugged that phone for a while. Anybody wants to reach us, they know to call us on our cell phones. And so our home phone hasn't been plugged up for months. But recently, the kids got a report card, and none of them were doing well. And so we grounded them from, their cell phones until they can pull their grades back up. So, and hopefully it works, because these kids these days are so resilient. Nothing fades them. When you take something away from them, they just find something else to focus their attention on. So I'm sorry about the phone. Sorry. I usually would have it right beside me so that when it rings, I just, disconnect the call, but I didn't even think about it this time. So what you see me doing now on the second page is I found an image out of, I believe, out of a Flow magazine, and it's just like a paragraph about the power of letter writing. My mom was a devout letter writer. When I tell you guys that she could write a mean long letter, like that sucker would be 3, 4, 5, 6 pages long. And I have several letters from her still, like letters that are at least 10 or more years old. She used to write such long letters. And so when I saw this, I thought about her, and wanted to journal about that here. And so I don't want that text, that that whole paragraph where the article is talking about letter writing. So I'm putting like some little scrap pieces on top of that. And I'm going to write on top of, hiding the words that were written in the article, and I'm going to write my own words on top of this magazine paper. And I just took the edges of the magazine off of it, and I'm just going to make it look like it's a blank piece of paper, and I'm going to write on top of that. So what are you guys working on? Leave a comment down below. Let me know how you guys are doing. What are you working on? What's going on? Are you doing any crafts? Are you doing any journaling? Any glue booking? Just leave a comment down below. I always love to hear from you guys. I know I have several comments I need to respond to, which I usually do as I'm uploading a new video. I respond to comments that were left on the previous video, so I'll be reaching out to you guys shortly as I'm uploading this video that I'm doing the voiceover for right now. So I'm going to take this entire page and I'm going to glue it down onto this page. I'm going to take the entire page of the magazine and glue it down onto this page in my glue book, and then I'm just going to position some things on top of this page. So this is also a common um, practice of mine when I glue book. And then if I don't want to see something that's on that page, I'll just glue other images on top of it. So I'm going to take a little, I think this was something that you use for painting that my husband brought to me out of the garage. I use it the same way I do like a gift card or an old credit card or whatever, and I just used it to smooth out my page. And so instead of me trimming off that excess on that page, I just glued it down. And that bottom portion that was hanging off the bottom, I'm going to trim that off, but that part that was hanging off the side, I just glued that down. And whatever I do on the next page, I'll probably not even notice that. And so this is what I ended up with, and now I'm going to take some images and just cover up, portions of that page that I don't want. I hear my toddler, guys. You're gonna hear him in just a second. He's gonna call my name. He's waking up. It's morning here as I'm trying to upload this video. So he's getting up for the first time. He's gonna call my name. And so these little images here that I cut out are like little magazine book images. I thought they were befitting of the page. They kind of remind me of like books and notebooks and paper, pens, all that kind of stuff reminds me of my mom. She had like notebooks and what do you call it, the spiral notebooks and the composition books, tablets. Like she just had like all kinds of paper and pens like stacked up so high, and she would just write letters and she would read and she would write notes. So that just all this stuff just reminds me of her, and that's just how I'm dealing with these moments when I would expect to talk to her, hear from her, love on her, gift her. I'm not able to do that now, and so I just have to find other ways to comfort myself. Jesus is the greatest comforter. I think most of you, if not, don't know, should know that I'm a believer in Christ, and so, He is the major source of my comfort and my peace. And so as He leads and directs me and guides me to things that I can use to just further develop myself in this moment, I do that. And so this is one of the things that I felt was impressed on my heart, to just journal out my feelings and my thoughts and just, write about her, talk about her, which is still difficult even as we approach 1 year of her, being gone. Is still just as difficult as it was the very first day. So for those of you who have lost someone as close as your mom, I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about. So we just have to find positive ways to remember those loved ones and to just really not dwell on the loss itself, but just try to work through the loss, if that makes sense. And so knowing that she is still alive in spirit, and that, her soul is with the Lord, and that I can still talk to her, I can still remember her in a positive way and find a positive outlet, while I'm still down here on earth, to just get those thoughts and feelings out. So don't be afraid to just create you a journal if you've lost someone, or maybe you're just dealing with depression, anxiety, or whatever kind of issues you may have going on. Just find a positive, creative way to release those emotions. And journaling is awesome for me, but that may not be your thing. I'm going to assume it's your thing if you're watching this video. So maybe journaling is your thing. And just create you a journal just for the specific purpose of getting out those thoughts and feelings. You know, whenever you feel an anxiety attack, you know, trying to make its way into your life, just break out a journal. You know, call it your anxiety journal or your anxiety glue book, and just get those thoughts and feelings out. If your depression is, you know, something you're dealing with, create you a depression glue book, or a depression anti-depression or anti-anxiety. I guess I would say that. But just find a way to get those thoughts and emotions out. So I took some potted cacti plants and I put them down, and I glued that pen down that was on that same page. And I'm just going to write a little note to my mom here on this notebook image. And so as the video comes to a close, I guess I'll go ahead and say my outro. If you're not a subscriber to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also hit the notification bell so that you can know when I upload new videos. For those who don't know, I have a second channel. It's a Bible journaling channel where I journal in my Bible and I talk about my faith. All of that information is linked below in the description box, as well as my Etsy shop, my email address, my snail mail address. All of that stuff is down below in the description of this video. So my short note that I'm writing there is, Mom, you had, and I'm using the words that were on this page. So it says, Mom, you had the magic of letter writing. Wow, you love to write letters. Not short ones either. You could write pages and pages of letters. I will always remember your love for a good pen and paper. Love you always. And so that's pretty much it, guys. As always, I love jumping on here talking to you guys. It just does my heart good to get on here to connect and to just spend some time with my YouTube family. So leave a comment down below, and don't be afraid to subscribe. If you're not already a subscriber, I would love to have you. So that's pretty much it, guys. I really don't have anything else to say. If you have any questions about anything that you saw, please feel free to leave them down below, and I will certainly reach out to answer them. And so I just look forward to seeing you guys in my next video. Bye.